who else is experiencing life sometimes just feels like it's dragging you forward, kicking and screaming into the future, whether you want to go there or not. I feel like that's where I'm at right now. And we've been talking about emotions as a compass, and I love this visual of what if I just take a moment and pause as I'm being dragged forward against my will to look at my compass and figure out, well, where am I actually going?
Yeah.
I've got this grounding, I've got this touch base that I can look at. And I think that one of the valuable things about doing that is instead of being dragged, kicking and screaming into my own future, I'm able to pause and say, why am I on the ground? Why am I kicking and screaming? Why am I dragging my heels? Why do I not want to go there? And I think for me, especially, that question is valid because my life is good.
Yeah.
Here I am. I have arrived in my own future. I have a wonderful life, and I'm dissatisfied with it.
Mm.
And I feel so stupid for being
that's tough.
dissatisfied with a good life. I am so privileged and so blessed. I have literally not a single reason to be dissatisfied with life. And yet I am.
Yeah.
And that's a very uncomfortable place to find yourself in. And I would not have been aware that that was happening for me if I hadn't actually been pausing and taking stock. I was distracting myself often in the middle of the workday if I was working from home, and I would have the TV on and my phone going at the same time. And I wasn't really engaging with either of those things. It was just this almost frantic, chaotic need for noise, external noise. And it wasn't doing anything for me. At the end of the day, if I did that for too long, I was exhausted, mentally and emotionally exhausted. And I knew that I was exhausted, but I couldn't pinpoint why. I was like, I'm pretty sure it's connected to this excess of media you have going on, but why am I getting sucked into this in the first place? I know I'm not happy at the end of the day. I had to check my compass, realize there's something wrong, and pause long enough to actually dig into it. Why am I doing this in the first place? What I found was exactly what I just said. I have a good life, but I'm dissatisfied with it. I was like, oh, that's so sad. Why am I dissatisfied with my own life? I wish that I had a great answer for you. I don't yet. I know that it's to do with unmet expectations I didn't even know I had that have shown up in my 40s. Just pausing and knowing has made a big difference. Turning everything off, sitting in complete silence, which can be so uncomfortable, but felt very, very soothing. Turning inward and asking, again, why am I on the floor? Why am I kicking and screaming and dragging against my own life progressing and moving forward? Yeah. Have you had a similar experience?
Yeah, I mean, yes. I would say though that my current experience is slightly different in that I don't feel like I'm kicking and screaming or anything.
Well, of
But
course, you would go calmly into your future, Rachel. I mean, obviously.
But my experience recently, this is just like literally yesterday, I think. It's been building up to this. I have felt like certain elements of this anxious feeling inside me. And I've wondered, I've been trying some new meds. I was recently diagnosed with ADHD. Like, it's official, as opposed to me just suspecting it. For years suspecting it. I was a little bit like, if it takes you 2 years to do the written test.
Actually do the...
Is that a sign? Anyway, I finally filled it out and submitted it. So I was like, okay, is this meds or am I feeling stressed? Like, am I just feeling stressed independent of changes I'm making? And I had a kind of a similar thing of this awareness of I'm a little disengaged. I feel a little discombobulated. I feel a little bit like I'm just kind of here going through motions. And I was like, I think you need to stop. And I also noticed very similar. I wanted to like listen to a book. I wanted to read a book with my eyeballs. I wanted to like do 5 things at once. And I'm like, I can't actually do these things all at the same time. For one, I can't do it. But then on top of it, I was like, oh, what is it that you're kind of avoiding here? What's going on? And that's when I realized, I was like, I think you need to sit in some silence for a little bit. Allow yourself to check in with you, because I wasn't checking in with me. I was so distracted with the other things. And life's happening. I'm a single parent. Like, there are a lot of other people's needs that I'm meeting, right? I get that you're trying to maybe mask some of the things that are going on in your life, but you have got to take a minute. I took that time and I checked in with myself and just let myself notice, like, what am I feeling stressed about? What am I feeling concerns about? This whole list of things were coming up. So I did that. And then yesterday is when I was like, okay, I want to actually sit down and write some things, not just kind of do a mental check-in. I want to do a journal check-in where I write it, because it gives me a little more distance from whatever I'm feeling when I write it down than when I'm just thinking it and thinking about it without separating it from my body in some way. So I flip open my journal and I haven't journaled very much this year. So I see my list from January where I've like talked about, like, here's my plan for the year. Here's this kind of like loose sketch, the things I was wanting to do. And I'm like, you haven't done almost any of this. And it was like you haven't worked on your audiobook. You haven't worked on helping your dad with his book. You haven't done some of these things with the kids that you had planned to do. You haven't taken time to just check in with yourself every week like you said you were going to.
Right.
Good thing we're doing it right now. And so I felt very disconnected from myself, because it's like, I haven't even thought about those things. Like, they haven't even crossed my mind. It's like they didn't exist anymore. And I was like, ooh, what's going on with that? Why did you have all these thoughts and feelings at the beginning of the year and good intentions and plans, and now you're here and it feels like all this other stuff has happened? I was feeling kind of discouraged, as well as like, what on earth is going on with yourself? And I said, okay, I think you need to write down what you have done, because we're 6 months in. What on earth have you done if you didn't do these things on this list? So I started writing, and I just started making a list. You saw this friend. You went to Oceans of Fun for the first time ever. You took the kids to Oceans of Fun and Worlds of Fun for the first time ever. You saw the friend, one of your good friends, who was coming in from out of town. You got to see her, and just small things. Some of it was very small. Some of it was actually filling out the paperwork for the diagnosis and submitting that, and then going into the doctor visits to talk about meds and to try different meds. And then I'm still in that process, but these things that seem very mundane and uninteresting to me, they don't feel like I've accomplished something, right?
Yeah.
When I look at each one of them by themselves. But as I looked at it, I was like, okay, well, so you have been doing stuff with your kids. You have been more present in these elements and areas, but not necessarily in a way where I'm super conscious and intentional about it the way that I had planned to be. So my expectation was that I'm going to be, here's what I'm doing, and here's my list, and check things off. And it hasn't been that way.
Yeah.
And so it's been a very interesting dynamic, like what you're talking about, just this noticing that I hadn't looked at my compass, noticing that I hadn't looked at where are things pointing me. But then when I did, I was like, oh, it's pointing me here. Oh, it's going here. All right, I can take that break. And just even taking a few brief, I think I've now probably paused 3 or 4 times since I kind of initially started sensing some of this, or I'm just like, I'm not going to listen to anything from my car ride into town. If the kids are with me, it's like, if they want to talk, I'll talk to them. Otherwise, I'm not going to listen to something else. I'm not going to do anything else other than be quiet with myself or have a conversation with my kids about something they're interested in. It's a challenge, but it's also like, oh, I need to reconnect back into me. I need to touch base with myself and see which way I'm going, and realizing like, okay, now I don't know that I'll accomplish the things that I had hoped for the year, because I just don't know that it's literally possible to do all of them in the remaining 6 months. So it's kind of like what you had mentioned to me earlier before we even got on here, of the awareness and then sitting with the thing that's uncomfortable and allowing yourself to enter into the pause. And then asking some questions about what's going on, what's happening for you.
Yeah.
And then looking at, well, what do I want to do with it? What do I want to do now that I know I got off course from, not off course in the sense that I did something wrong. I was allowed to do what I did. I'm very grateful that I don't feel guilt about it. But part of that was because I did the question asking, and I dug into the things, and I looked at what did I do. And while these are not particularly thrilling, and they don't feel like accomplishment that I'm going to brag to anybody about, it's okay for this to just be what I've done. And now, what do you want to do next? Are you going to still try and do some of these things that are on the list? I have a loose list from my what if calendar. I have a few things on there. I'm like, ooh, I still would like to do that one. But it's okay if I don't do some of these other things. And it's okay if those don't happen until next year.
Part of what I'm hearing is that in very different places, you and I had the same experience with the emotions compass. It's that awareness of what we're actually experiencing and a pause to pull the compass out and look at it. What are my emotions trying to tell me right now? What's actually going on? What am I feeling? What am I avoiding? What am I experiencing that's waving a flag and trying to get my attention? And that pause is then the invitation to, well, why don't I dig into it? Why don't I have some curiosity? What's there? Why is it there? What does it want from me? And that from there, you can identify what to do with it. You listed out, here's what I have done.
Yeah.
And then there were actions or questions about what you would do next. I realized, look, I'm not sure what I'm going to do or what actions I'm going to take, but at least I'm aware now. And the action that I do consistently take, especially if I observe myself leaning into media as a distraction, noise, I go, hey, I'm avoiding something. So just even just that awareness has been a shift and a change.
Yeah.
I'm no longer laying on the ground, kicking my heels and being dragged. I'm going, hey, I don't need to do that. I'm going to sit up. Stop dragging me for just a minute, please. Let me pause and figure out why I'm upset. What's going on? What am I feeling? What am I not feeling? What am I avoiding feeling? So that I can get up and walk forward with my life as it continues to life with or without me. So I love that. It's the same application, different takeaways.
We're using the same tools. We're both using a compass. We're both allowing emotions and behaviors. Like, the behavior is a result of some of the emotions or something that we're feeling or avoiding. I love that you notice the combination of the phone and the TV being kind of like this little flag that's like, hey, something's going on.
Exactly.
We may not be paying attention to our compass right now. Are you okay? Life is still lifing.
Life is still lifing. Yes. Still dragging me forward. I've stopped kicking and screaming. I've started whooping.
Yeah, there you go. I just love that you paid attention. So even though maybe you hadn't been paying attention, as soon as that awareness came up of, I should you glance over at the compass. And it's like, this is maybe not quite where I wanted it or I wanted to be. Okay, what next? Even if your what next is just, I'm going to sit with this longer.
Yeah. It's okay for your what next to be, I'm going to sit in the discomfort.
Yeah.
It's okay for it to just be.
That is an action.
It is.
That is
sometimes an action is a being, not a doing.
Yeah.
I always think of actions as I'm going to do something. And I realize that actually sometimes the action is I'm going to be.
Yeah.
In that feeling, I'm just going to sit in it. Like that is an action.
My action was I'm going to be quiet.
Yeah.
And I'm not just not talking.
Yeah.
But not trying to consume other stuff, especially because so much of what I consume is other people's ideas, other people's agendas, which is great. There's times we're bringing stuff to you guys right now.
Yeah.
But there's times when I'm like, is this what I want to be putting in? Is this feeding me in some way? Is this serving me in some way? And the awareness of, no, you're just distracting yourself. You don't care what's going in. You're just using it as distraction. Maybe you just need to be quiet for a little bit, Rachel, or just enjoy the silence.
Yeah. I like it. That's often very uncomfortable to enjoy the silence, and yet such a valuable thing to do. So we invite you to continue to pursue awareness, to pause, to pull out your compass and ask, what is it that you're trying to tell me? Which way is north and which way am I trying to steer the ship of my life? What's important to me in this moment? And then what do you want to do? Maybe what you want to do is just be for a while. And maybe it's, inaction versus action. But what is it that you want? Awareness, pause, get out your compass and dig into what's there. And what do you want to do with the information that you have?
I want to point out that Rebecca used the word want. What do you want? We're not asking you about what you need. We're asking
you should.
Or should. Don't should on yourself.
Yep.
We're asking what you want. You're allowed to just evaluate that and just sit with it. That's okay. So, as always, we invite you, along with all of these other things, to live fully present. And the list of things we just shared are the things that help Rebecca and I live fully present. Literally Rebecca's looking at kind of a bigger picture. I'm looking at
Mm-hmm.
more my year, but it's the same tool, just applied differently.
And you see as well that we create that meaningful change with it.
Yeah.
So we invite you to do that. Live fully present, create meaningful change. Thanks, guys.